beloved child of the eternal light. Hear me now. I stand before you with the clarity of a sword of truth and the warmth of a hearth that has stood since time began. I am not here to frighten you with prophecy, nor to heap guilt upon your shoulders. I am here to call you back to remembering who you truly are, an indestructible spark of divine presence, clothed in a human story, learning, growing, and being called now to a greater freedom. Listen closely. A false accusation has already been written against you in the spiritual records. Hear those words not as condemnation, but as wake-up call. The spiritual world keeps accounts, reflections, words, and wounds, but it also mirrors the human heart. And what is written can be examined and transformed. The first truth I bring is this: a warning given in love is a gift. If you ignore it, the lies woven about you will gather weight, becoming chains. If you accept it and act with courage, with humility, with integrity, you will dismantle those chains and step free. Why do false accusations bind? Because belief is the engine of consequence. When untruths are accepted by your own mind or by the chorus around you, they gather force. When you let them speak louder than your inner truth, they can change your path, your posture, your breath. They can tie you to shame, to reactivity, to isolation. I speak to you now, so you will not become the unwitting jailer of your own soul. But take heart. The ledger is not final unless you make it so. There are steps that unmake the courtroom of lies. There are disciplines that dissolve accusation like a fever under cool water. There is a way to live so that the spiritual record becomes not a trap, but a clearing. And from that clearing, you walk forward unburdened. Part 1. Name the falsehood. Claim the truth. First, you must name what lies against you. Speak it aloud if you can. Call it by its proper name. This is an accusation that I am worthless. This is an accusation that I acted with malice. This is an accusation that I am unworthy of love. Naming is not indulgence. It is strategy. By naming, you drag the accusation from the shadow into the light. When something is in the light, it loses the potency of darkness. Then stand and say the truth. Not a small nicety, not an academic correction. A truth so rooted in your bones that even the storms know to part for it. I am created in the image of the divine. I hold dignity. I will be accountable where I must. But I will not bear what is not mine. Repeat this until your body remembers how to breathe with it. The divine registers that vow. Part 2. Do not become what they say when the world accuses. It will tempt you to respond in its language, to defend fiercely in ways that degrade you, to retaliate with carved bitterness, to harden until you are mirror mage of the lies against you. Take my counsel. Do not become their echo. Defense can be an art, measured, dignified, steadfast, but vengeance is a hook. If someone throws a chain at you, do not pick it up and coil it around your own heart. Let justice be your discipline, not your vengeance. Respond with righteousness. Speak truth, not venom. Act with clarity, not cruelty. Choose boundaries, not blindness. Let your actions be salt and light, preserving, clarifying, revealing. If a neighbor spills mud on your name, wash the mud from yourself and keep your hands free to help others who have also been splattered. Your clearest counterargument to a lie is a life lived with integrity. Part 3. Examine where the truth lies. There are times the accusation will carry an element of truth, a shadow of a choice you made that needs correction. Souls are not statues. We are work in progress. If there is even a sliver of truth in the accusation, meet it with radical humility. Do not throw the baby of your worth away with the bathwater of a mistake. Take responsibility where it is yours. Apologize where you harmed. Repair where repair is possible. In doing so, you transform accusation into renewal. But be wise. Repentance is not the same as taking the blame for the sins of others. Do not be coaxed into claiming responsibility for someone else's. A soul who insists on accepting guilt for things they did not do is like a healer who takes another's fever and lets it destroy her. Discernment is the sword that separates what is yours to mend from what belongs to another. Part 4. Call for witnesses of light. There is profound power in gathering witnesses who can testify to your true nature. Invite those who know you not to parry words, but to hold the mirror of truth. A community of witnesses dissolves isolation and shows the spiritual record a wider view. Truth is not only what you say about yourself, it is what lives in your life, in your constancy, in your love. Let those pieces of evidence be presented. Your acts of kindness, your sacrifices, the steady pattern of your days. Prayer is a formal witness. Call the high courts of heaven and ask for testimony. Say, I ask the hosts of light to stand with me. Align yourself with beings of compassion and justice. In many traditions, the laws that govern spiritual consequence respond to intention and to action. Your petitions, when made in honest contrition and firm resolve, are heard. Part 5. Shield and sword. Practical spiritual practices. Now I offer you practices, not magic tricks, but disciplines that align your inner world to truth and defend you against accusation. Daily vigil of truth each dawn. Set aside 10 minutes to speak aloud the facts of your true self, your virtues, and your commitments. This anchors you in truth before the day's noise arrives. Boundary work Write down where you will not be pushed. Name the behaviors and the voices you will not accept. Boundaries do not make you unloving. They make love sustainable. The audit of action weekly. Review your actions. Where did you miss the mark? Where did you shine? This is not self-flagellation. This is clear bookkeeping for the soul. Forgiveness practice. Release others from the prison of your resentment. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is ceasing to be imprisoned by the past. Let their charges fall where they were placed, not in your chest. Ritual of release. If a lie clings like tar, enact a small ritual. Light a candle. Write the accusation on paper and then burn it with intention. Speak, I do not accept this. By truth and light, I release it. Ritual harnesses focus and helps the heart move. Community advocate. Invite one trusted person to be your advocate. Someone who knows your heart and will speak for you when your voice is weak. A voice joined to yours becomes harder to silence. Service as purification when the world points a finger. Respond with service. Nothing dissolves scandal like sustained acts of love. Serve because you are good, not to prove it. The world will notice anyway. Part 6. The anatomy of accusation. Fear, projection, and shadow. Understand the mechanics. Accusations are often projection. They are the other's attempt to tidy their own fear by assigning it to you. People will throw their unhealed parts like torches. Be compassionate for their blindness, not to excuse them, but to protect your empathy from being swallowed. Compassion is not a resignation to being harmed. It is the clarity that sees both the actor and the wound behind the actor. Fear breeds lies. Lies breed chains. Chains breed despair. You are either moving toward liberation or toward the multiplication of bondage. Choose the path that loosens the knots. Choose responsibility where it is yours. Choose detachment where it is not. Asterisk Part 7. How to walk when chains are laid there. Will be days when those chains seem real, heavy, clanking, visible even to others. On those days, keep your posture straight. Breath anchors courage. Speak fewer words, but make them true. Sleep when you can. Exhaustion magnifies shame. Eat, move, and tend your body. The spirit is not some ethereal thing apart from your human needs. Journal. Let the page hold what you cannot say aloud. Sing or listen to songs that return you to increasing courage. Sound is a balm. Remember always, chains are not permanent if you work them. They reveal the points at which freedom must be reclaimed. Each link you undo is a practice. Each undoing strengthens the soul. Part 8. When the accusers are many sometimes. Accusations come like a storm, a chorus of voices from which you cannot disentangle the original lie. In those times, isolate the original claim. Address what is true. Ignore the anonymous chorus. Public reputation can fall and rise. Focus on the inner ledger. Public opinion is rarely a god. If you have harmed, repair. If you have been slandered, keep living the truth. The world has cycles. Seasons of accusation often pass as quickly as they come. Do not seek to defeat every critic. Some will never be satisfied. Let your task be to be just and to be kind. The rest is not for your soul to carry. Part 9. Forgiveness, reparation, and rebirth through actions warranted. Make reparation. Offer the concrete gifts of change. Reparation is soul mending. It is the medicine that tells the world your regret is not empty, but active. Do not expect immediate absolution. Forgiveness is often a gift given in time, not at demand. Yet some of the deepest forgiveness comes from the transformation itself when you change. The mirror of the world begins to show a different face when you have taken responsibility and made reparation. You are reborn in a humility that is more courageous than the pride that preceded the fall. Use this rebirth to anchor a new pattern. Learn the lesson fully so that you will not be bound by the same chain again. Part X. The power of witnessing others. Asterisk. If you see others accused unjustly, stand. A single witness can tip the scales. If you are told to stay out of it, remember, sometimes your presence is the sword that untangles a lie. Be wise, not reckless. Offer testimony, offer help, offer love. The way you treat the accused is the way you prepare the world for your own hour of trial. Remember this. Sometimes you will be asked to testify for someone you do not fully understand. Testimony of compassion need not be absolute endorsement. Say what you know. I have seen their care. I have seen their constancy. Those facts matter. Part 11. The inner courtroom. There is an inner courtroom inside every soul. It is where you judge yourself, where conscience speaks, and where grace meets action. Make that courtroom honorable. Be a compassionate judge, not a tyrant. Allow evidence, allow counsel, and then render a sentence that combines accountability with mercy. When you sit daily in that inner tribunal, you build a life that is harder to convict. The inner judge that is both wise and merciful becomes your ally against falsehood. Let your inner jury be composed of humility, courage, and truth. Part 12. Prayers and affirmations to speak here. Are words to speak when accusation presses close. By the light that formed me, I stand in my truth. I release what is not mine to bear. I claim only what I must mend. I choose righteous action and steadfast love. I call upon the hosts of compassion to witness my heart. Let falsehood fall like leaves in autumn. Let truth root me like an oak. Say them until the syllables embed in your marrow. Part 13, on the power of silence. Sometimes the most valorous thing is silence. Not a silence of avoidance, but a silence of strength. When flames are thrown, silence can be the river that quenches them. Use silence to protect your words, to gather your thought, to let others tire of the false noise. But do not confuse silence with passivity. Silent action, steady, disciplined, consistent, is implacable against slander. Part 14. You are never alone in this work when the world feels most cruel. Remember that you do not stand alone. There are legions of light, angels, saints, ancestors, guides who witness your courage. Call them, ask for aid. Do not be ashamed of seeking help. Strength flows when you name your weakness and open your hands to receive. And remember, humans are instruments of both cruelty and redemption. The same world that spreads lies also carries songs of praise. Hold both truths and choose which you will nourish. Part 15. A final charge, beloved. Do not allow accusation to define your destiny. If you are honest, make amends. If you are falsely accused, clear your heart and set your course. If you are both human, erring, and also maligned, meet both tasks with equal fierceness. I do not ask you to be perfect. I ask you to be brave. Brace yourself in the truth. Let integrity be your shield, compassion your sword. Walk toward the narrow gate of disciplined life, and you will find the doors of freedom open wide. When you are tempted to lash out, breathe. When you are tempted to hide, step forward with dignity. When the world strikes with falsehood, hold to the quiet law. Act righteously. Speak truth. Forgive willingly. Maintain boundaries. And repair genuinely. Know this finally. No chain forged of lies can hold a soul that is actively aligned with truth and service. The universe tends toward justice when souls act with clarity and courage. The penalties you fear will not find purchase where your conscience is clean and your hands are busy healing. I stand beside you. I do not make your choices for you, but I lend the sword of clarity and the shield of steadfast love. When you falter, turn and I will help you rise. When you are accused, call and I will stand as witness to your true heart, not because you are flawless, but because you are worth the fight. Go now with courage. Keep your lamp trimmed. Walk in the world as one who has been tested and found to choose light. Let the lies fall away like chaff in the wind. Let your life be the testimony that they cannot make you less than you were created to be, with unending vigilance and love. Asterisk, beloved child of the light, Hear me as a wind that comes to the sail of your heart, not to tear you, but to carry you into a truer harbor. I speak to you with the clarity of a blade tempered in mercy and the steadiness of a hand that will not let go. There are words already cast in the court of the unseen. There are whispers formed into accusations that circle like crows over a field. I speak now because you must know. What has been written against you is not the last word, unless you allow it to be. A false accusation, once given breath, will seek a body. It will ask your mind to believe it, your tongue to repeat it, your heart to carry it. If you let it lodge within you, its weight will become a chain. If you answer it with surrender or with bitter mimicry, you will carry its punishment alone. Do not wear their stones as if they were your crowns. Do not let their verdict become the measure of your worth. You are older than their stories and greater than their fear. You were breathed into being by a love that does not forget the contour of your soul. That breath is your true record. Whatever the world scribbles in ink is often only momentary, hot as anger, thin as rumor, and it can be burned away by truth that is lived. I will not soften the truth into a sugar that numbs you. There are times when you have erred, and the ledger will note it. There are tears you must wipe, apologies you must speak, repairs you must make. The Spirit does not deny consequence. It honors transformation. But beware the other danger. Do not take into your chest what was never meant to be yours. Do not carry borrowed guilt like a cloak sewn from strangers' grievances. When people project their shame upon you, when their fear finds a mirror in your name and calls it fact, do not accept that reflection as your face. There are 3 things I want you to hold close like stones in your hands: clarity, courage, and compassion. Let clarity be the light that reads the ledger. Let courage be the breath that speaks in the face of accusation. Let compassion be the balm that heals both those who harm and those who are harmed. These 3 together will keep your feet on the path when storms try to sweep you away. First, clarity. Name the accusation that has been set before you. Say it aloud in the small room of your soul. Let the words have form. Lies thrive in vagueness and rumor. They dissolve when exposed to the precise light of naming. Once named, examine the claim. Does it carry truth, or is it a mask of projection? If it contains truth, hold the truth like a teacher holds a student. Firm, instructive, not annihilating. Promise what you must to repair and do the work. If it is a lie, do not spend the bulk of your life arguing with shadows. Protest where you must, but live so fully in a contrary pattern that the lie becomes ridiculous against the evidence of your daily life. Integrity, lived quietly and insistently, is the most wearisome thing to falsehood. Second, courage. False accusations will test something in you. They will offer two roads. One leads to hardening and retaliation, the other to steady resistance and renewed uprightness. Rage is a tempting, honest companion. It calls to you with red-faced promises of vindication. But vindication cast in the clay of vengeance only reproduces the prison. Instead, take the narrower, sterner way. Defend yourself with virtues rather than with venom. Protect your heart with boundaries that are practical and loving. Speak truth plainly. Do not inflame with shards of pride. If you must correct public error, do it with a voice that leaves no room for misunderstanding. If you must withdraw, withdraw with dignity and with a plan to rebuild your life on foundations unaffected by gossip. Third, compassion. This will surprise those who think that compassion is weakness. It is not. Compassion, when it is truly rooted, has the strength of mountains. See the accuser as wounded. See the crowd of accusers as frightened souls holding torches because they cannot see. When you can, imagine the fear that made them speak. This does not justify their cruelty, but it frees you from the multiplication of bitterness. Let that compassion fuel your action, not to excuse, but to heal. Sometimes that will look like forgiveness. Sometimes it will look like distance. Both can be acts of mercy. I give you also a stern piece of instruction. Do not allow shame to be your constant companion. Shame is a liar who dresses itself in responsibility. Shame will speak, "You are unworthy. You have failed. You are beyond returning." Shame seeks to isolate you, to keep you from the community that could help you, to make you surrender the very fidelity that could restore you. When shame rises, bring forth humility instead. Humility says, "I have erred, and I will make it right." Humility does not say, "I am less than I am." That latter is the snare. Learn to differ between blame that heals and blame that destroys. There will be moments when a verdict must be faced, a conversation, a tribunal, a community. Prepare for these with prayer and with truth. Gather those who know you, friends whose witness is steady and who will speak not out of fear, but out of fact. If your life is a song, let them sing the lines that you cannot sing aloud in the dark. There is power in faithful testimony. There is also governance in the admission of fault. If you owe restitution, pay it. If you must apologize, do it with words that do not crowd the one you hurt. Reparation is a bridge thrown across the river of consequence. It does not erase the fall, but it builds passage back to integrity. When accusation comes as a mass, when rumor multiplies and the many climb into a chorus, do not be tossed like driftwood. Anchor yourself. You are not the crowd, and the crowd is often more certain than it is just. The masses are quick to judge because hurried judgment protects them from the work of discernment. You do not owe the crowd the heat of your life. You owe your life to the truth and to the work of repair. Let the crowd be loud. You be steadfast. Time is a friend sometimes of the innocent. Patience is not surrender. It is the wise, slow work of letting your life testify. There is a practice I counsel that is simple and holy. Keep an inner ledger. Every evening, before sleep, call up the day in the light of an honest lamp. Tell yourself what you did well and what you can change. Invite an inner counsel. Picture the divine standing with you and ask, where did I fail? Where did I flourish? When you cultivate this habit, you armor your soul, not with defense, but with discipline. The world will not be able to surprise you with accusation if you are already your own witness. You become a person who confesses quickly, repairs promptly, and learns relentlessly. This is not perfection. It is an apprenticeship in truth. Listen also to the way you speak. Language crafts reality. If you rehearse the hate and the hurt, if you repeat the accusation in your head until it shapes your manner, you feed the thing that you want to end. Instead, memorize the true statements of your life. Speak them. Repeat them until your bones can recite your dignity. I am formed of light. I am a child of the eternal. I am accountable and I am forgiven. Say these until the words are stronger than thee. Rumor, there are seasons in which your defense will be public and seasons in which it will be private. In public, let your demeanor be clear. Say what is necessary and stop. The world mistakes a person who explains for a person who is guilty because one who is guilty often has no defenses. Your precise, clean defense will disturb the appetite for scandal. In private, attend to the healing, the mending of relationships, the restoration of trust. Social repair requires the long patience of small gestures repeated. Remember always, accusation is often a teaching in disguise. It shows you the weak place that will be attacked again, if not strengthened. Sometimes what binds us are the places we refused to tend. If accusation reveals a truth you have been hiding from, then welcome it as a mirror. Yet, if it is simply a lie, then refuse to make truth the host for deceit by taking on guilt that is not yours. There is also the matter of enemies who never tire. There are souls who will hound and hunger for your undoing, not because of any real wrong, but for reasons of power or projection. For such, I say, do not expect justice to be swift or even always visible in human terms. The world's scales can be slow. The unseen balance can be patient. Trust that all things are seen by what is beyond the horizon of rumor. Protect yourself with prudence. Do not confuse retreat with surrender. Sometimes wise withdrawal is the act of a general who preserves her army to fight only when victory is possible. You must also practice the art of repair in the soul. When accusation has cut you, the recovery is not only outward. There are inward scars. Do not neglect the tending of them. Allow grief to run like water through you, not like ice that freezes you in old moments. Find company who will sit with you in the silence and not try to fix you. Find practices that return your breath to rhythm, prayer, song, walking. The touch of another who will not use your pain as a sermon. The healing of your inner world makes you less vulnerable to being toppled by the noise of rumor. I will say this plainly. Forgive when you can, and do not be forced into cheap absolution when the other has not repented. Forgiveness is a gift that liberates you more than it liberates the other. Yet, true reconciliation requires a turning, a concrete change. There is a difference between saying the words and being the thing. Do not be deceived by a politeness that masks the same old harm. Know also the value of service. Nothing unravels a small-minded accusation like a life of persistent goodness. Serve quietly, repeatedly, without the drum and banner. Let your service be the slow rain that softens hard hearts. When your hands are busy doing good, the energy that could have been spent in angry parrying is spent in noble labor. Let charity be not a response to slander, but a constant habit that makes slander increasingly irrelevant. There is a profound spiritual rule. Intention matters. The unseen records pay attention to the motives of the heart. If you act to protect your name alone, your acts will be thin. If you act to be of service, to make right what is wrong, to honor the dignity of others as you would your own, then what you do will be fertile. Live, therefore, with intention. Build patterns, not grand declarations. The small, steady choices of daily life write a testimony stronger than any rumor. If you are in the place of the accuser, and this can happen to each of you in turn, hear this. Do not rush to speak of another's sin as if it were your right. Ask yourself what you do with the knowledge. Do you act in jealousy? Do you act to build community? Are you bearing witness out of charity or consumption? Accusation wielded without love rends. Accusation offered with justice mends. You will be judged by the spirit behind your words. I invite you now to a practice of naming the truth each morning. Before the city wakes, sit briefly within the quiet and say aloud what you will hold today, the values, the decisions, the restraint. Make a covenant with your inner self. Promise that you will not accept a lie as your garment. Promise that you will repair when you must and refuse when you should. Keep this covenant as you would keep a beloved's hand. There are those who ask me, how long must we carry such burdens? How long must we stand accused? I answer, for as long as it takes for your life to become testimony. There will be recompense in time, but do not wait for it as a child waits for a toy. Build your life now. Live in such a way that even if the world takes all your applause and turns it to dust, you still have a heart that can stand in the sight of the eternal. That is the measure of true vindication. When the night is dense and the accusations sound like thunder, do this, breathe deliberately, and name the small truths, your hope, an act of kindness you did. A moment when you held back when pride urged you forward. Collect these as stars. Hold them until dawn. The cosmos remembers your constancy. And finally, know my presence as a sword and a shield. I do not ask you to fight meagerly or to give away your peace in the market of rumor. Call upon me not so that I will fight for you in a way that makes you passive, but so that you will be steadied, be given courage when you feel weak, discernment when you are confused, a calm voice when the chorus screams. I stand with those who commit themselves to truth and mercy. I stand with those who will not let slander dictate the shape of their days. When you call my name, feel my blade of clarity cut the cords that would bind you, and my hand steady your shoulder so you may rise. Walk, then, in the dignity you were born to wear. Let your life be a resistance to rumor and a proclamation of light. You will be tempted to smallness and to fury. Refuse both. Grow instead into a larger courage. The courage to be honest, to make amends when necessary, to forgive when possible, to rebuild when required. Be a person who asks for help and receives it. Be a person who gives testimony not to shield themselves, but to honor what is true. This is not a promise that life will be easy. It is a promise that when you are faithful, you will be found. The grace that lifts you will not always be visible, but it will be present. There will be mornings when the sun seems unwilling to rise. Still, the sunrise will come. So it will be with you. Keep faith, not because ease attends you, but because fidelity shapes you. Go now from this place with your head lifted. Do not allow the whisper of the world to become the hymn of your soul. Live so that your life, steady, brave, and truthful, becomes the refutation of what was falsely said about you. Let those who sought to bind you see instead a life that is open-handed and unashamed. Let them see what truth looks like when it is embodied, patient, loving, relentless in goodness. I will be beside you on the roads that are lonely and on the days that are heavy. When you feel the weight of accusation press into your bones, breathe my name and feel a steadiness enter your limbs. You were made not to wear chains, but to cast them off. You were made not to shrink, but to stand. The light that formed you will not be outshone by rumor. It will only be clearer after the smoke clears. Rise with a heart that knows its source, a mind that recognizes the difference between truth and slander, a will that will do the work of repair, and a soul that will not be robbed of tenderness. Let every falsehood that rang against you become the bell that calls you to courage. Let every chain become the place where you learn how to strengthen the limb. Walk in the world as one who has been tested, learned, and found to choose the light. I go with you. I stand guard. I sharpen the courage that lives within you. You will not walk alone. And when the final accounting is called, let them see that your life has been accounted for in honesty, generosity, and an unyielding commitment to truth. Go in peace. Go in power. Go in the steady, radiant force of one who remembers who they are and refuses to let rumor make a god of fear.